Hello everybody, Resistance here, back in my program, and here I am doing the Marauder. I was going, I remember last video now. It was this little nugget right here that was proving to be quite the problem, and unfortunately, as you can see here, I already fixed the problem, and whenever I fixed the problem with the status effect, I wasn't thinking, and I completed the spell itself just to see if it was working. It works just fine. I can show you what it does. The exception that I had to make was actually not even that hard. Basically, I just had to make a exception for a stat to change called Healing Amplify. And then what that does is it applies. We gotta go through a whole bunch of hoops right here. There we go. In the parent status effect listener, if it is a healing amplify, then the change stat is listening for a buff, because healing amplify basically means it's going to change any sort of healing. And healing is almost always going to be a buff type of a change. So then if it's a healing amplify, then from here we're going to apply the ChangeListener for a current health buff. And then from there it applies the multiplier, the on source, the applied target, and all that sort of good stuff. So all I needed was that one little exception that allows me to work with any sort of healing. I can reduce healing on a target, I can increase healing on a target, and I can change both healing that they deal and healing that they take. So that was actually not too bad to make. I just had to add that one line there, and this ability works just fine. And I'm sorry I didn't capture that on a recording. I wasn't thinking, and I completed the spell to test if it worked, and in the process I completed it, and I wanted to record it for this video, but unfortunately I was a dummy. So in this video I'm going to be doing these 3 infinite spells. These ones shouldn't be too bad. I already have a bleed status effect, I already have an expose status effect, and thief might prove troublesome, but then again it might not as well. All I need to do for this one is just a conditional listener, so that shouldn't be too bad. It'll be a little bit different, but it wouldn't be too bad. So then first one is Bleeding Strike. We get a 1% chance to bleed by 20% on attack for 2 turns, and then it's plus 1% chance per level. So pretty good. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Go into here, and then it's called Bleeding Strike. It's going to extend infinite spell. I don't think I need to call the super. Yeah, I don't. Actually, there was one thing I didn't do in my other videos, or before I made this video rather, where I'll even like pull one up just to see if I can look at it. Yeah, I don't need to call update description in these spells, because in the super all the way it already calls it. So I need to go through all my spells and get rid of that. But I do think I still actually do need to call the super, because if I call this, then it will call the automatic update description. So I'm going to keep that in there. I'm going to see for 1 second. Let me look at these. Do I call the super here? I do. Okay, so I call it everywhere else. So I'm going to call it here. Anyways, so we're going to override update description. So then this dot description equals, I'm going to have a variable called bleed chance. It's an unsigned integer that's going to be equal to 1 equals. So then this description equals, then we're going to do this now, bleed chance plus percent chance to, I'm pretty sure I have it capitalized. Yes? Yes, okay. To bleed. Oh. Sorry, I just yawned. I just woke up from a very good nap. Well needed, because I didn't get a lot of sleep. Oops, I accidentally hit F5. Nope, just gonna exit that out. Okay, bleed by 20% for 2 turns. 20%. Where do I have the on attack? Okay, I have it before the turns. Okay. Bleed by 20% on attack for 2 turns. Plus 1% chance per level. There we go. Let's lower that. I think? I always forget how I do my capitalization. I'm gonna look real quick at another ability. Let's see. All the way up. All the way up. One more. Okay, so who are you? You are the Arcane Mage. Let's go with the Arcane Mage as an example. See if I capitalize there. Soul Steal? Nope, not Soul Steal. Spell Amplify? Yeah, I capitalized it. Okay, so I'll capitalize it here. There we go. Looking alright. Let's go back. There we go. Okay, so now we have the bleed chance, and then we have no, not override. We're gonna have another bleed. It's gonna be a parent status effect listener, and yes. Okay, so I do need a apply listener function. Do void, and so what's going to happen is, wait a minute. Oh, okay. So the bleed itself is going to be a listener put onto the owner. So it's not going to be a parent status effect. It's going to just be a normal old effect listener. Get rid of that one, because what we're going to do is we're going to put the bleed listener onto the owner, and it's going to listen for when the owner attacks, and then from there it'll apply the bleed if the chance goes through. So we're going to apply the listener, effect listener, remove this dot bleed on the owner. Alright, so then this dot bleed equals new effect listener. So we're listening for a current health attack. We're going to apply, gotta import status effect first. We're going to apply the health bleed status effect onto the target of the attack by a multiplier of 0.2%, negative 0.2, because it's going to be damaging their health for a duration of 2 turns. On source is going to be true, because it's when the player is the source of the damage, when the bleed is going to go through. Chance is this dot bleed chance linked rounds change. Okay, so that's fine. That should be okay. And then this dot owner stats listeners dot push this dot bleed, and that should be fine. So then I'll call apply listener. We're going to override upgrade. Then we're going to do this dot bleed chance plus equals 1. Oh my god, I don't know what happened there. We're going to apply the listener, and that should be fine. So then we're going to do bleeding strike. And it's of type bleeding strike. Now it should be fine. Let's run it real quick just to see. Alright, seems just fine. Then we're going to do all the way down here, there we go. Infinite spell dot bleeding strike dot unlock empty player. So now you should have a 1% chance. Now you should have a 2%. I'm gonna give him a 10% chance, so I gotta do this 8 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, so that should be fine. Now, every now and then the player should bleed the target. Let's see if any of them go through. Oh yeah, it looks like it. Yep. Okay, so we did get one. Player bled themselves. Okay, that doesn't seem true. Okay, so the bleed does go through on the proper target, but it's saying that the player bled themselves, which is interesting. So that's a problem with the status effect or stat change event. So we gotta go in here, because what it does is in here, right there. Oh, I'm yawning again. Woo. Okay. So I gotta figure out. It's checking. This right here is where it's the problem, because we're checking the player. Okay. I think I need to be checking the target entity, because the checking entity is just the entity that we're checking the listener, and the player is the one we're checking, because the player is the one with the listener on his listener array. And I think I gotta check if the target we're applying this listener to is the same as the source of the listener. Then we have to say that they did it to themselves. Otherwise, yeah. Okay. So now, basically what I have to do is I have to find who the target's going to be, because in the listener, which is right here, it has the applied target. And so the applied target can be either the target or the source of this stat change event, and I have to figure out which one it is. So what I have to do is I have to, hold on, let me see. Yes, basically I have to make like a variable called target entity if current listener applied target is equal to target, then target equals stat change event dot target entity, else target equals stat change event dot source entity. So now I have found the target that we're applying the status effect onto, and I have to see if the target is the same as the source. So here we go. Put that there. That should be fine. And now I need to update this. So themselves, then player do, then instead of this, because the target from this stat change event is just the basic attack, the attack damage that the player is sending to the ally. There could be a status effect where the player wants to put it on themselves, and so I have to make sure that we're not checking the target of the attack. We're going to check the target of where the listener's going to be applied to, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does. But when I load this, hopefully it'll show it properly so that you know what I did to fix it. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. It's proper now. Player bled ally 1. Because it was checking the checking entity was the same as the source, and of course, since the player had the bleed listener on it, the player was the checking entity, and also the player was the source of the damage. Because see right here, player attacked ally 1. So in that case, the player was the same as the checking and the source. So it said that the player bled themselves, even though they didn't. So I had to get the target of the listener, or that the listener was going to apply to, and then from there, work it properly. And then it works. So, and the bleed went through. It's dealing a lot of damage because that's the way the bleed works. It deals a bleed and poison are like kind of the same thing because they deal damage over time, but the way they deal is different. A bleed deals damage based on missing health, and a poison deals damage based on current health. So they're not exactly the same, but they are very, very similar. And so the bleed's working properly. You can see here, they bleed. Only deals damage for 2 turns because we got the spell damage there and the spell damage there. After that, no more bleed damage, and it seems like only 1 bleed did go through. Maybe another one up here. Oh yeah, no, he bled him again. Bled him up here. There we are. And as you can see, it deals a lot less damage here because the ally 1 is missing a lot less health. That's only 88 damage, or they're missing 88 health here, as opposed to the 432, I think, on that one. Yeah, so very, very different. Anyways, next one, Exposing Strike. You get a 1% chance to expose by 25% on attack for 2 turns per level. That one shouldn't be too bad. If my code is proper, it shouldn't be too bad. I keep having to fix very minor things, but hopefully I'm fine-tuning it to where it's gonna work properly with this one right off the bat. So this one's Exposing Strike. I'll call it Super. Oh no, I didn't do my name. Oh yeah, no, wait. No, I didn't do my name. How will they know who I am? On who created this? There we go. Alright. Order's been restored. Go back to your daily lives. Okay, so we're going to do override, update description. Do need a exposing chance variable. Gonna be equal to 1 off the bat. Oh god, nope, not that one. There we go. Equals expose chance, percent chance to expose by 25% on attack for 2 turns, plus 1% chance per level. Alright, that should be fine. Now we're gonna do the same thing. Private function apply listener. Now I do need a it's gonna be another effect listener. It's basically the exact same as that bleed listener that I had on the previous ability, because this one, instead of just applying a bleed, it's gonna be applying an expose. So it's gonna be pretty much the same. So we're gonna need a private var expose effect listener. So effect listener dot remove this dot expose from the owner of the listener. This dot expose equals new. Oh god, too many F's. Effect not conditional. Just a listener. We don't need a conditional. Listening for current health. It's going to be exactly the same here. Attack. We're going to apply a status effect. I had to import it first. Status effect. We're going to do attack expose. The thing is, this doesn't. It's not necessarily saying what kind of expose it's doing. If it just says expose, then it's basically going to imply that it's going to increase damage from all sources except for divine, just because divine is the special damage type. And now I'm starting to think, is that too powerful of a passive? Not really, I think. Maybe if I reduce the percentage to like 20%, then it should be fine. Yeah. So then I actually do need 3 listeners here, because what I need to do is I need to do an attack expose, a pierce expose, and a spell expose. Because in this case, the listeners themselves can only hold one status effect. So if I want to apply multiple status effects, I need multiple variables. So I need to get rid of this for a second, because I also need to remove all the other listeners. So that one, pierce expose from the owner, and the spell expose from the owner. And now this is the first time I'm gonna have to do this, but I'll show you. I'll have to do a linked effect with these two, because if I don't link these exposes to their previous exposes, like if I don't link pierce to attack and spell to pierce, what's gonna happen is each one is gonna work independently off of each other, and if one applies, that doesn't mean the other ones are going to apply. So what I have to do is I have to link it to where if the first one applies, then the other two are guaranteed to apply. And if the first one doesn't apply, then the other ones are not going to apply. And I'll show you this right in here. We're in the, well, okay, I actually have to fix this because I need to make an exception for the linking. I have to open up the stat change event actually. So right in here. Yeah, in here I do yeah, right here. First special activated. This is basically saying if the first special, or if the current special that we're looking at isn't or is chance linked, and if the variable first special activated is equal to false, then set that equal to false, because there is a way for it to be equal to true down here. So it needs to be both of them. So if this is the case, if it's chance linked and it hasn't activated the first special, set that first special activated to false, which I probably don't need now that I look at it, but I'm going to keep it just in case. And then continue basically stops this current iteration of the for loop. It stops it right here, and it basically increments I by 1 and checks the next listener. And so if it is not chance linked, then this one's going to fail, and so it won't continue, and it will move on to the next line. So then if it's not chance linked, then first special activated is equal to true. And then from down here, we basically do the same thing right here. And then I think I need to, hold on. What do I run? Oh yeah, okay, so I do it down here. So, okay, so don't worry about it. I set the first special activated if the listener itself doesn't run. And so in here, I do need to make an exception because this is going to run whether or not it is chance linked. So I want to make sure that if it is chance linked, then I don't want to run this, because the only way for a chance linked effect to run is if it's already been checked that the previous not link. It's really strange how it works. But the only way that the chance linked effects to run is if their previous effects that they're linked to have already run. And so from here, I just basically like if this isn't chance linked, then we check to see if it passes the chance like call. So I actually think I need to apply that also to other listeners, like my ChangeListener. Because here, yeah, I do it regardless of whether it's chance linked or not. So if this is not chance linked, and then I might also, I don't think a parent status effect listener is part of the chance link just because it works a little bit differently. Yeah, okay, so I don't need that one. And then what about, okay, that's the only ones I need, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so now we're back here. We're back here talking about chance linked and how I have to link these abilities to the previous ones so that I only want it's basically I want all of them to activate or none of them to activate is basically what the chance link does. So equals new effect listener. We're listening for a current health attack status effect, and we're doing the attack expose onto the target of the attack by a multiplier. It's going to increase damage they take by 20%. Duration is going to last for 2 turns. On source is true. And yes, that's fine. That's fine. So then this dot pierce expose equals new. Oh, actually, I do need to change the chance because it's going to be this dot expose chance. So now you'll see what comes into play with the other listeners. So these ones are going to be almost exactly the same. Only the status effect for this one is going to be a pierce expose onto the target by a factor of 20%. 2 on source is true. This dot, well, actually in chance link case, the chance can be 100 because again these ones are only going to apply if the previous ones apply. So this can be 100 and it still has a chance of not activating because this next variable, chance linked, is going to be true. So now these are only going to work if their previous listeners are going to work as well. So now this one, since these two are going to be applied to the listener or applied to the target's listener right at the same time, these ones are going to be back to back. So it's going to be the attack exposed, and the next index is going to have the pierce exposed, and the next index is going to have the spell exposed. So they're going to have the listeners next to each other, so they know which ones are going to be linked to which ones, to which other ones. So anyways, I'm just going to copy and paste it just because to expedite the process a little bit. Spell expose, and that should be good. And sorry that was a bit of a tangent, but I figured I needed to get that out of the way just so you guys understand what that variable chance linked and stuff means. And so anyways, I also do need to go to this owner.stats listeners, and then we're going to add the attack expose, the pierce expose, and the spell expose. So see, when it calls this, the push is going to add all of them back to back, so the linking process will work properly. So we're going to override the unlock. Oh, here we go. No unlock. There we go. All I need to call in here is this dot apply listener. Override upgrade. No, wrong one. Wrong upgrade. Just go all the way down. Just do it yourself. There we go. So this dot expose chance going to be increased by 1. Then this dot yeah, sorry, my mind went completely blank. I was like, what am I doing? Nope, we want to keep it on debug. Okay. Static var Marauder exposing strike. Exposing strike equals new exposing strike. Okay, so then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to spell exposing strike unlock. Oh no, wrong one. Just going to do this real quick. There we go. Okay, so that's going to be 2%, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now it should expose him properly. Didn't crash, so that means it's doing alright. Nope, wrong one. Here we go. Okay, so I need to find it where it says he exposed him, if he even does. There we go. Yeah. So here, that's not what I wanted, but it works just fine, I guess. I only wanted it in like just one line where it just like tells you that you exposed them like that. No, don't save it. I hit Control S because I'm so used to hitting that. I might change that later to where I can only make it on one line, but for now it's going to work on 3 lines, telling you that you attack exposed, you pierce exposed, and you spell exposed. And the good thing is, you can see here, this is where the linking comes in, where once attack exposed goes through, all the other ones go through, and in no case do you see just 1 or just 2 random ones apply. So that's good. That's good. And then we can see the expose working, where the player deals 20 to 22, then after that, the player deals 24. So it's working properly. I'm pretty sure 20, wait, 20 to 24? Oh no, 20 to 22, so yeah. So then, oh, hit the wrong button. So yeah, we can do like, what is it, 24. It was like 22, I guess, would find it. I don't know, it's the other way around, I think, to 24. I always forget how to like work backwards to where like you get the damage, but I want to find out given the 20% increase to what it originally, I don't know. Maybe I'm just, my mind is doing like a big old brain fart right now, and it should be very easy, but I'm very bad right now. Anyways, not in the best mindset. Alright, next one is thief. This one shouldn't be too bad, I think. Shouldn't be too bad. Let's go here. What is it called? Just thief? Okay. I can do that. Thief. Okay, let's rename that to thief. There we go. Looks a lot better. No, my name's not Alex, even though my name is Alexander. I go by Alec. Don't ask me why, because I don't even know why. It's just how it was. Just how I grew up, man. So that's how I go by. So then we're going to have a variable var gold steel uint equals 1, and then I do need a it's gonna be a change listener conditional. So yes, we're going to override update description. This dot description equals this dot gold steel, or rather, yeah. So that's gonna be like tell you how much gold you steal. So like 1 gold gained whenever you attack targets below 50. Let's go down a little bit. No, 50% is fine. Health. I think. Is that how I worded it? Plus 1 gold when you attack targets below, and over here it is like 1 gold gained whenever you attack targets below 50% health. Plus 1 gold gained per level. So yeah, okay. So here I'm gonna basically do the same thing. Private function apply listener void, and then from here we're going to do change. No. I should import ChangeListener because I need to call, since the ChangeListener conditional extends ChangeListener, I can go into ChangeListener and remove the gold listener even though it's a ChangeListener conditional. It's still, since it extends ChangeListener, a ChangeListener conditional, basically it is a ChangeListener. Just it's called a child class, and the ChangeListener is its parent class. So the child class is still considered a parent class, but it's also considered itself. So I can, if I want to like hone in on exactly what I want, I can just look for a ChangeListener conditional, because like this works in the way of like, hold on, let's go into the stat change event, because like here what we can do is in the stat change event we listen for change listeners. So if the current listener is a change listener, this still applies even if the listener is a change listener conditional, because it's considered a change listener since it's a child of that class. But if I wanted to be more precise, I can only look for change listener conditionals here if I want to, and it won't apply for general change listeners, and it will only apply for the conditionals. So yeah, basically that's what I'm explaining here. I'm able to remove this listener even though it's not an even though it says it's not a change listener because it's a change listener conditional, but it's a child of the class, so it's still considered a change listener. A little bit confusing to try to explain it, but hopefully you understood it at least a little bit. Listener conditional. So what we're doing is stat listener, we're listening for current health attack, and so the change type is going to be like, you're just going to get gold. I'm actually going to check real fast and see if my listeners work with gold. Checking stat condition stat. Okay. Return super dot run goes into change listener. Okay, yeah, so I do check for gold. So that's good. Okay, so here I can do this just fine. So we're gonna do like gold gain. Checking entity is going to be the target entity that we're attacking, because we want to check if their current health is, oh, where is it? Oh, it's in the conditional. is less than the target's max health by a factor of 50%. So here it's getting the target of the attack, and if their current health is less than 50% of the target's max health, then we run the listener. So the applied target is going to be, it doesn't really matter because we're doing gold, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to do the source anyway, just because it's going to give the source the gold. Stat to change, we're going to do gold. Base stat is gold. Multiply is going to be 0 because it's going to be by a flat change. Is positive is true. On source is true. Is pre doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. I'm going to set it to true anyway. Chance is 100% chance. Chance linked is false. Rounds is true. It doesn't really matter. And then change is this dot gold steal. So all of those variables go into play with the listener. And it's very long because there's a lot that it needs to work with in order for it to work properly. Because it's basically I have to put in every variable for a change listener, and then which is all right here. These are all the variables that go into a change listener. But then I also needed to put in all the variables for a conditional, which is all this right here, which is insane. So anyways, then this dot owner dot stats listeners dot push this dot gold listener. There we go. So that should be fine. So override unlock. And if you notice, this is looking a lot similar to my other infinite spells, but instead of working with effect listeners, we're working with change listeners. So just a tiny bit different, but it looks very, very similar. So we're gonna do upgrade this dot gold steal plus equals 1. Apply listener. So go into here, and then after this we're gonna be done if this works properly. And we're making some good ground. Thief. Almost done with the player classes. After that, we're gonna move on to the oh, I did Marauder wrong right here. I'll have to fix that. After that, we're gonna be moving to the ally classes, which is gonna be cool. Okay, so we're gonna go here because I need to refactor this to get rid of the second R that I put in. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna do thief, and basically So we're upgrading it 10 times, or 9 times basically. We unlock it once, upgrade it 9 times, so we should get 10 gold every time we attack the ally when he's below 50% health. Okay, the ally did die. Yep, changing gold. This looks just fine. Go down, go down. So, yep, right here, the player attacks the ally, but the ally doesn't give gold because he's not below 50% health. And from this point on, the player attacked the ally, and since the ally was below 50% health, then he got 10 gold. I might make it a not pre-change, just because I want to check the health after he deals damage, not before. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that actually. Let's make thief. It's one of these booleans right here. It's this one. It's this one right here. We're gonna do false for that one. Let's just check and make sure. Yep. Okay. So that's the is pre. So now it should only give gold after he deals damage and not before. The player did die, so there's a chance. Okay, it still worked. Because there's a chance the ally could have dealt too much damage before the player got him below health, but he was able to do it. We did it right here. So cool. Yes, that's working. Oh, get rid of... I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Meant to put it here. There we go. Yeah, works just fine. Gives him gold. Then if you upgrade it more, you can get a butt ton of gold. By 32. That's a lot of gold. Anyways. Oh, you know what? I could also, since piercing damage is considered attack damage in almost every other case, I could also make this work for piercing damage, which I actually think I should do. Because in every other case, when it comes to like exposing someone with attack damage, like if they take increased attack damage, it also increases pierce damage that they take. And anytime I work with attack damage, if it's not a defensive bonus, then I also make it work with piercing damage. Because piercing damage, the whole thing behind it is that it goes through resistances. So if you have attack damage reduction, it's not going to decrease pierce damage. But if you have attack damage increase, like you deal more attack damage, then it does work with pierce damage. Which is kind of weird when I say it like that, but it makes sense if you just think about it for a little bit. So we're just gonna call this like attack gold listener. Then we're gonna do another one called pierce gold listener, and from here we're going to do pierce, and then we're gonna add pierce gold listener, and I'm basically gonna copy paste this because it's gonna do the exact same thing, only it's listening for piercing damage instead of attack damage. There we go. That works just fine. Yep, okay, cool. Now from there, we are done actually. There's nothing to go from there because we're done. Everything works just fine. Let's go all the way back up to my Marauder. A little bit. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So the Marauder is completely finished now. If we go down here and look at the Marauder, we have 4 actives, 3 infinites, 2 passives. They all work just fine. This video has been going on for a little bit longer than normal, so I'm not going to really show anything special because I was like, you know what? I could make it to where like I could give the ally and the player some passives and see them fight each other and see how the passives interact to show how they would look in combat, but it's going on for a bit too long. I might do that later if I am able to burn through some abilities pretty quickly. But then I will do one thing. I'll show you what's coming up next. So we're gonna do the sharpshooter next, and he's gonna be an archer that's his abilities are geared around accuracy and like focusing in on targets. So from here we're gonna do these first 2 abilities where the first one is focus, and it increases all allies' accuracy by 25% for 3 turns. That's pretty good. So it's basically going to have to get all entities that are an ally and the player itself in order to give accuracy to all of them. And so the upgrade's just a flat increase for accuracy, and also gives some quickness, which is pretty good. And then the next one is zero in, which I think is pretty cool. So what's going to happen is it deals a good amount of initial damage, and it forces ally attention to that target for 3 turns, but the target takes 25% more damage for the duration. So basically what's going to happen is when you use zero in on an enemy, it's going to make it to where you can only target that enemy for 3 turns. But for the duration, that enemy's also going to be exposed, making any damage they take being increased. And so the upgrades for there is you deal 100% initial damage, so it deals 250% attack damage, and the other upgrade increases the damage threshold by 50% or by 25%, so that it's equal to 50% whenever you upgrade it. And so I like this ability pretty cool. Actually, to give a little secret on what this is going to do, just like a foreshadowing sort of thing, what it's going to have to do is I have no way of actually putting a status effect on one target that makes it to where they are the only one you can target. What I have to do is in my status effects, I'm just going to go here real quick. Oh, there we go. Status effect. What I'm going to do is I do have a status effect called untargetable, where it changes the, where is it? It's a targetable stat. I don't know where it is. There it is, targetable. So if targetable is true, that means you're able to target that entity in combat. If it's false, you won't be able to target them. So what this ability is going to have to do is it's going to make every other enemy untargetable. So that's how that's going to work. And so it's going to put a shrouded status effect onto every enemy except for the one that you targeted, which should be pretty cool. I am gonna like making that. There's no real way for me to like check it right now, just because I don't use the targetable variable yet, just because combat hasn't been made. I'm still working on all the abilities, but it should work just fine, because making them untargetable, all I do is in combat I just check the targetable variable, and if it's true, you're able to target them. If not, then you can't, so it shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, that's the two abilities that we're going to be doing next, and Marauder's completed, and we've done a good amount of work, because I've done all these abilities right here. All of them work just fine, hopefully. I did change my framework code quite a bit since I started, so hopefully the other abilities work just fine. They should, just because the coding's the same. I just worked my framework around the code, so hopefully the changes I made didn't mess up anything previous, but it shouldn't. It shouldn't. But we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of abilities. There's bound to be bugs, and I'll hopefully get to them as quick as I can in like post release of the game. So anyways, that's this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, then please show your appreciation by doing all the garbage I like clicking the like button, subscribing, commenting, all that good stuff, and checking out the subreddit if you enjoy that, because there's a lot of stuff I put on that subreddit that pertain to my game, such as like some screenshots and recently just a bunch of the videos that I've been making. So you can go there if you want to catch up on any of the stuff that you missed. And for now, I'll catch you guys later.